Welcome back to the channel. Now, popping up on the screen very shortly will be a recipe for today's tutorial. Now, this is a recipe that you can use yourself. You will have to put it through a soap calculator in order to find out the additional ingredients that you need to put into it. So I'm not going to do all the work there for you. And if you don't want to use responsibly sourced palm oil, you can replace that with something like a Babassu. But again, you'll want to run that through a soap calculator just to make sure that everything is right. So this bar is an exfoliation bar, and it is kind of a cleansing, calming, soothing bar with quite a coarse exfoliant in it, which is great for kind of after the summer where you want to slough off some of that dead skin and kind of get rid of all of that nasties and just leave yourself feeling really kind of soothed and just a little bit of pampering in the shower. So what we're going to do is we've got our oils here all mixed together and we're just letting them cool down a little bit. But first, I'm going to put some additives in here. The first one is coconut milk powder. Now, coconut milk is wonderful. It's got lots of properties in there that are great for the skin, and it also kind of boosts lather and bits and pieces like that. So well worth kind of using some coconut milk powder, and also means you don't have to do any water replacement for it because it's in a powder form. So I kind of really like that coconut milk powder, and really moisturising on the skin as well. So well worth putting into your soaps there. We're also going to be using a cold brew coffee lye. Now, I've made this up beforehand, but all it was some coffee that I put into some cold water and I let it sit for kind of 48 hours in the fridge, drained off the coffee grinds, and then I made my lye using that water. I also popped a little bit of sugar into there as well. So when you see it in a little bit and it's quite brown, you'll know that it's just coffee that's gone into there. There's no fragrance, there's nothing apart from the natural coffee smell, but you can boost this if you really want to with something like a coffee fragrance oil, or even kind of something like a bergamot essential oil, which will work quite well with both the coffee and the tea we're going to add in a little bit. So our next additive that we're going to add into here is one that I think is a staple for a lot of soap makers, and it's kaolin clay. Now, kaolin clay adds this kind of silky feel to the bar, and it's also used as a kind of, it's used as a face mask by a lot of kind of pampering spa days. So it's going to give you all of those kind of lovely properties that you want to have in your soap. And I'm just going to add my stick blender in here, and I'm going to whiz this all together to get the milk powder and the kaolin clay mixed into my oils. Now, you want to do this because it can kind of sit and just kind of create little globs within your soap. So you do really want to get this kind of mixed into your soap very, very thoroughly before you move on. So once we've got all of those bits mixed in, and I want this to go through all of the soap, but I don't want the exfoliation to go through all of the soap, what we're going to do is we're going to then move on to our matcha tea powder. Now, this is just a matcha tea powder that I got from, I actually think I got it from Amazon. I'm going to put a good heaped tablespoon in there, and then I'm going to pour in a little bit of my oils to mix it up and to really kind of get it smoothed down again. Now, matcha tea or green tea is known for its kind of skin calming properties, which is why I've included it in there. Now, it's not going to then make up the bulk of the bar. I'm going to use this as kind of a swirl within it. It's going to be a very natural soap, so it's going to be browns and all of those colours basically within it. So we're going to stir this matcha powder to get plenty of kind of mix in there. Now, here's the lye water going into our oils, and you can see how dark that is. And we've got some little kind of lumps and bits and pieces, some stuff that's just not drained out when I've drained this. So it's always worthwhile putting it through a strainer. Now, as we mix this up, you'll see that we actually get a kind of dark colour with it. That's absolutely fine. This was always going to be a darker colour soap, but it's a really good soap. If you want to use a fragrance oil that discolours when you use it, this is perfect because these colours are really not going to kind of get any lighter. They're going to lighten up a little bit over when they cure and stuff, but you're really not going to worry about a fragrance oil that darkens in here, because you'll just get a really nice contrast between that and the matcha powder. So once that comes up to a nice emulsion, we're going to split off the batter for our swirl, our matcha tea powder swirl, and then we're going to move on to the exfoliating bit of this. So let's just pour off a wee bit of our batter first. So there we go. It doesn't need to be, it doesn't have to be measured, it doesn't have to be a great deal. You could do half and half, you could do a third. It's really up to you on this point, but you'll see how that colour in the matcha is kind of really kind of gone now, but you are going to get a nice contrast between the main batter and the matcha side of it, and you're going to get all of those properties in every bar, but you're just getting a little bit of interest through them. So what we'll do now is we'll bring in our other batter here and we'll pop in our coffee grinds. Now, the coffee grinds are there for the exfoliation, and the way that I deal with these ones is basically to take any coffee that I've used, and we've got a big coffee machine here. So I take those coffee grinds, I lay them out on a tray and I pop them into the oven and I dry them out. Now, by drying them out, you're removing all of the moisture so they will not rot or do any of those kind of weird things. And when they go into the soap, they're not going to have any moisture that could cause dreaded orange spots or anything like that. So do make sure you dry out your coffee grinds as much as you can. Now, I felt it was a little bit dark here, so we're going to pop in a little bit of titanium dioxide. You do not have to add this, and there's lots of things going around at the moment about titanium dioxide, and is it good, is it bad, is it indifferent? The thing with titanium dioxide is it is on a wash-off product. It's not going to do any harm for the most part unless you have an allergic reaction to it, and I don't know of anyone that I've seen have a reaction to that. But if you have seen that, please let me know. Otherwise, you could use a white mica in here, or you could perhaps not use the cocoa butter and replace that with a little bit more palm oil, and that'll kind of get you around being too dark. But what we're going to do here, pop some of our first batter in, give our matcha a stir here. We're just going to do a very simple drop swirl using that batter there, a little bit more of the exfoliating batter, and then we're just going to top off with our first lot of batter, and you can see how nice and fluid this is behaving. It's a beautiful recipe for getting swirls and stuff done with. Let's scrape this down here and get it all into our little mold, and then we'll top off with as much of this as we need, and I've got some left over. Now, if you make your recipes and you think, oh, I've always got some left over, that's not a bad thing. These molds are from Amazon. You get 3 in a pack, and they're not very expensive, but having them to the side and just available when you've done like too much batter means that you can pop them into a little mold like this. You can either use them as samples, or you can pop into your shower and use them yourself. So always have one of these to the handy when you're soaping. So if you do find that you've over egged on the batter, you can put it into somewhere. So here we are onto the cut, and look at that. You can see how light and dark each of those sections of the soap have become. I'm going to take an end off here, maybe have a little look at our pattern, and look at that. You can see where the green of the matcha is coming through, but it's not a vibrant green. It's just a very subtle green. And then you've got the exfoliation of the coffee coming through in that one. Now, you are going to get some scrape marks in this, I'm afraid. It's quite a harsh exfoliator. If you wanted to go a little bit softer on the exfoliation, you could use something like a pumice, or even some activated charcoal would be very good. And you could do a third kind of swirl with some activated charcoal. But I kind of quite like this for in the shower, and it's got a good kind of grippiness to it. I like that. And there we go. There is our soap in all of its glory. We'll leave you with a little bit of music here just to see the rest of the cut, and we'll come back in a moment to see it in all its glory once it's been cut and cured. And so there we have our soap in all of its glory with its fantastic exfoliation. It's a wonderful bar of soap. So if you've enjoyed this video, please give it a like. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. It really helps me grow and allows me to make more videos and tutorials for all of you. When you subscribe, don't forget to click the bell icon if you'd like to get notified when a new video is uploaded. And thanks a lot, Soapsters. I'll see you again next time.